Welcome to the Why Not Today podcast, where we celebrate courage, determination, and the power of saying why not today. I'm your host, Leslie Kane, and in each episode, we dive into inspiring stories of individuals who have taken bold steps, faced their fears, and embraced the possibility of today. From entrepreneurs to artists to dreamers to doers, we explore the moments when they said, enough waiting, why not today? Join me as we uncover the heartwarming, the audacious, and the transformative. Whether it's pursuing a lifelong passion, overcoming obstacles, or simply choosing joy, our guests share their journeys and inspire us all. I started this podcast in honor of my father, Patrick Kane, who often said, why not today? And remember, you're just one decision away from changing your life. So today I have a fun guest with me, and we're together, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute too. But Kurt Rose is here with me, and we're going to talk about lots of different things because I've known you a long time. And I always talk about like where we met, where we connected, and you went to the other high school. So we grew up in the same town, but he went to the other high school, the newer one, which I was not privileged to go to. And you're a couple of years younger than me, but we kind of have crisscrossed paths and done so much together and known you forever. And today we're going to talk about your business, and we're going to talk about nonprofits, and we're actually in the Reston Museum. If you didn't know it, Reston absolutely has a museum, and we broke in here because they're not open, but Kurt's, are you the president of the board or?
No, just on the board.
Just on the board. Okay,
No
just on the
president for
board.
me.
And so he got the key, and we broke in here today to talk and record this episode. And it's kind of fun behind us. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. There's pictures of people in Reston. And right behind us is a picture of my dad, who the podcast was started after. And then next to him, I don't know which side, is a picture of me. And then there's a picture of Kurt. So it's kind of fun that we've got that behind us. And we'll talk about that. So give us a quick who Kurt Rose is, a little
Sure.
quick bio and a fast fun
One
fact.
thing I like to do is talk about myself. So
We're trying to keep this about 30 minutes. So
good luck. Yeah, I've been in Reston since I was 7 years old.
Okay.
We moved down here from New England,
think I
Boston
knew that.
area. Yeah. And 1974. So I guess that makes 50 years in Reston.
Wow.
This
I've
year.
been here since I was 2.
Yeah, you've been here longer.
So
You've been here
and,
longer.
yeah, we're not going.
But Reston was one of those places. Growing up in Reston, it was just special. I grew up in Newbridge Court, so we had basketball courts, tennis courts, a pool, a bike path, everything you need as a kid.
Yeah.
Since there was no internet, and your
Yeah,
parents
we
just said, get outside and do something.
We did.
That's what we did. So we played tennis for hours, and I don't know how many hours, thousands of hours in that pool.
Yeah,
As a kid, it was just what you did.
And then it was
and,
time for dinner. You got called in, and then you went out and
When the
played
street
again.
lights came on, yeah, you had to go back inside.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend recently, and he kept saying, "Have you seen this show and this show?" And when we were kids, did you watch this? I'm like, "No." He goes, "Did you watch TV when you were a kid?" I'm like, "No, we had a playground and we
We
played."
tried to watch TV, but there weren't enough stations.
No, there were
There was
4.
nothing on. Just Saturday morning cartoons and Tarzan on Sunday morning.
Exactly.
But it was just a special place to grow up. And
It
so I had a.
Did you ever leave?
Just like I lived in Fairfax for a year,
Okay.
when I was briefly going to George Mason, and then I lived in Diane and I bought our first condo in Cascade, Sterling. And we
Oh.
were there for a couple of years.
Okay.
But basically always wanted to come back. And so we
Right.
found the right home. We did. So,
Yeah, it's funny. My brothers moved out there, and
mhm.
my dad was like, "You're moving all the way there. Like you have to have shots and pack a bag,
It
and,
is,
it's a whole maybe 5
it
miles
is, I know, but
But
it seems like it's way out there.
leaving."
It does.
Yes, exactly. So
but,
what's a fun fact about you that nobody would know?
oh, man.
People would be surprised to find out.
I took 2 months when I was 19 years old. I took 2 months off and I bicycled across Mexico.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And that was pretty special.
yeah. So I didn't know you as a kid or growing up or even high school. I think I met you more from your career and your business.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
a million nonprofits.
Yeah.
So, all
Yeah.
right. So let's talk about, so we talk about connections, and, we go way back even before I kind of knew who you were. So let's talk about your career path journey.
Sure.
So the first, probably, idea of who you were when I met you was at Reston International Jewelers.
Yeah.
And how old were you there?
My very first job when I was 16 years old.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friend Elin Ice, who I love dearly.
Elin, who I still keep in touch
I
with.
do
She's a
too.
wonderful lady. And Larry Baldwin, who used to own Burke Jewelers over
Okay.
in North Point, who just retired, was my first boss.
Wow.
And but it was I needed a job in high school. And so that was an ad in the Reston Times that I applied for, and a lot of other kids applied for it at school, and I won the job.
Wow.
I still remember sitting down with Elin and her telling me that I got the job, and that was my very first job. And
But you were the exception to Reston, because I worked at the dry cleaners, which half of us did, and the other half were lifeguards.
yeah, or worked at Baskin Robbins at Hunterswood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there weren't that many places.
Yeah. Yeah, this just worked out. And then, Larry was a great boss. I met Rick Little, who we opened Aspen together.
Right.
Um,
So was Elin there?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah. She was there in the very beginning.
Okay.
And then she sold it to a gentleman whose son went to South Lakes. And then eventually they closed. Rick and I decided
Right.
that we were gonna open our own place.
So was Rick working there too when you were there?
Yeah, he managed
Okay.
the store.
Okay,
He's my boss.
okay,
Always has been.
okay. All right, and then when did you guys start Aspen?
1993.
So did you start like right after college?
I
Sure.
dropped out of college. I
Oh,
went
did
to
you?
college for a year,
Okay, I did not
and
know that.
and I was making money. I didn't really have enough money to stay in college.
Okay,
Both my sisters were in college at the same time, and I wasn't a very good student, to be honest. So I was a better worker, and I really loved the business. I thought by the time I was 18, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
so did you go straight through? There was no other jobs in between?
I worked at a jewelry store in Bethesda for a couple of years.
Okay,
So when I took that time off to go to Mexico, I lost my job.
okay,
And so they filled it by the time I got back. And so I worked in a store in Bethesda for a couple of years, and then eventually came back and worked at Reston Jewelers again.
okay.
And then Rick one day said, hey, I'm gonna open up my own store. Will you come manage it for me? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I wasn't making very much money.
Yeah.
And I needed a career path, and I was
Yeah.
ready to get married. So 93 was a big year. 93, 94. That was big. We opened the store in December of 1993. I got married in April of 1994, and we bought our first house in August.
Wow.
So it was a big year.
Yeah, it was actually a big year for me too. I hit a 0 birthday. We won't talk about which one, and I finished my MBA and started my Mary Kay business all that year.
There you go. And look how successful you've been.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some things are just, they happen if you put your mind to it.
yeah. And that's a lot of what this podcast is about. It's just
Mhm.
having the courage. Like you didn't know how to run a jewelry store and then,
Nope.
and then at what point did you become a partner? Or were you a partner then?
Rick still owns the store, and I still manage it. I've been
Okay.
buying into it since about 2000. So,
Okay.
it was a big lifestyle change. It was a big risk, especially on his part, because his was all mostly financial.
Right.
But I remember being at his house and meeting vendors in his kitchen.
Wow.
And wondering how we were gonna open this place and when it was gonna happen,
Yeah.
and just the excitement and everything. It's just.
Well, and
it's great.
that's really what my passion is with this podcast, is to encourage people to do those things. It was scary
Yeah.
and it was risky, and you were newly married or
Mhm.
almost married, and
Mhm.
it wasn't the path that everybody went,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everybody, a lot of people growing up here, we all went to college. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about it. It was just, you're gonna go to college. And then it was like, all right, now I'm gonna go to grad school. And
Yep.
we just went through that path. But were your parents entrepreneurs or did they work?
Mm-mm.
No, okay,
No, and one of the reasons I had to get a job in high school is my dad lost his job,
okay.
and my mom, you've probably run into my mom.
I think I've
Most
seen
people
her
in
at
Reston
events.
have, because she was a nurse at Foxmill Family Practice
Okay.
for 45 years
Wow.
until she retired. And so she was a big part of the community in a different way, but the most caring person I've
Yeah,
ever met.
well, we didn't play in that group,
Mhm.
because we were the Dr. Farrell crowd.
Yeah, right.
And then Kaiser or Georgetown Medical went open.
And
but-
Dr. Farrell's son graduated with me in high school.
Okay, I babysat him. And then he's a doctor now.
Yep,
It's
yep.
just, I love all the
Excellent guy.
connections and Reston and
Yeah,
meeting people that
I do
are
too.
from here. And so, yeah, I thought you part owner, but you're gonna be, and
Yeah,
you run it,
yeah.
and Rick's not even ever there. So
Right.
at what point did Rick kind of step out?
Oh, it's probably been 10 years that but he does a tremendous amount of design work. He does
Does he?
all that
Okay,
from
he's
home.
just not there.
Does all the design work, and helps me with a lot of business aspect of the store and things like
Right.
that. And he's an amazing salesperson. He's so personable.
Yes.
So when he does come in the store, he somehow figured out a way of selling something
Of
while
course
he's
he
there.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in the store much, except for, I guess, the holiday party.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
So I know he's been traveling.
He's a great guy. I owe him an awful lot.
No, he is. But it was a risk, and you had to
Mhm.
say, why
Yeah.
not today, and take
Yep.
one step after the other, and you didn't figure it all out in the beginning or know where
You
it
know,
was gonna go. Have
Three,
you,
three, maybe four recessions, a pandemic, and we're
Yeah.
still there.
yeah, and were you always in the same location?
In the same center.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, we had a smaller store in 2000. We doubled the size of the store.
Okay,
And now we're making it more of a manufacturing facility, so we can manufacture our own pieces. Things
Okay.
like that.
well, you make beautiful stuff.
Thank
I
you.
should have worn something. I don't have anything. And honestly, until I started winning prizes for Mary Kay, I never thought you got jewelry anywhere.
Yeah.
So I've never bought jewelry from any jewelry store
Right.
except for costume stuff
Mhm.
and you guys, and had my ears pierced at
Yep.
Reston International Jewelers.
Yep, it's possible I did it.
Yeah, probably.
But I get to see your mom
Yes,
pretty much monthly.
yeah,
She comes into the store for one, gift for granddaughter
or
or
just
niece or
to be
nephew.
loved on
or
because she
just
loved
wants-
coming in
just
there.
wants to come and say hi. And
Exactly.
sometimes that's the best part.
And I love you're there and that you do greet customers and you're never too busy.
Yeah, our customers are, what we always say, our store is successful because our customers are so great.
Right, and you do have
Um,
amazing
and
customers.
they-
And you've got
it is
great
Fun
loyalty.
to go to work.
Yeah, and you guys do a holiday party every year, and
Yeah.
that's one of my mom's highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Loves coming and all the customers, and it's fun to see people I know from all areas of my life there. I'm like, oh, you know about Aspen? I'm like,
Mhm.
of course. What else? What other jewelry store is there? So, well, you're not just a jeweler.
Yeah.
And you wear lots of hats. and
Yeah.
Your Captain
Got
Kurt,
my Captain Kurt
Kurt
hat
and
on,
your
yeah.
Cardboard Boat
Mhm.
Regatta shirt.
Mhm.
So, and that's one of the reasons we're here is to talk about the Cardboard Boat Regatta. And it's funny how this town is so small. I'm walking through a parking lot the other day, started talking to Andy Siegel. We started talking about the Cardboard Boat Regatta. He's like, how's the podcast business? You need to have Kurt on the podcast. I'm like, I do. I've got a platform and we want to share.
Andy Siegel too. Have you interviewed him?
No, I
He's
need
another
to.
one, yeah.
So yeah, Kurt and I have kind of been following the path of Reston and
Mhm.
all the things. And I remember being out of college and my dad kept saying, you guys need to get involved.
Mhm.
And we go, no, that's your job. Well, our parents have gotten older, passed away in my case. And it's like, and I don't know if I purposely sought after getting involved,
Mm.
but it just started happening. How about you?
Yeah, when we opened Aspen, I was invited to join the Herndon Rotary Club. Business was in Herndon. And Reston had its own Rotary Club, and Rick was in that one. And that club taught me how to volunteer.
Okay.
And the more I got involved, the more I learned. I learned how to create a fundraiser, recruit people,
Right.
and just do things in the community or around the world. And it was really satisfying. And so because of now it's the Herndon Reston Rotary, they combine clubs, which is great. That gave me an avenue to charities like Kids Are First, with the
Right.
21,000 backpacks to kids that need them in Northern Virginia. And I'm on the board there. And then it got me involved in more Reston things too. And I love this community. So I love doing things that make people happy. And Bob's dream was to
And for
always
those
have,
people
ahead.
listening, Bob Simon is the founder of Reston.
yep, and
And
he's
behind
right
us.
there looking over us.
Yes.
And but his dream was to have a place where you could live, work, and play. So you had your family and you had your business and you had corporations, you had all different economic, levels, socioeconomic levels. And so the Cardboard Boat Regatta is just that ideal.
Yeah.
It supports the Reston Museum. But it brings in, like this year, we're gonna have 42 boats. A third of them are kids, a
Right,
third of them
yeah.
are families, a third, another third are businesses.
Well, let's talk
And
about other
so-
things before you get to that one,
Mhm.
because that's a newer nonprofit you got involved in. So you learned, or how long is this Cardboard Boat been going on?
2017 was the
Okay.
first one.
So yeah, you got involved because of Rotary. I got
Yeah.
involved just watching my dad because he was involved in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he started the chamber and because he was raising 6 kids in the community, not
Yeah.
because he had business.
Yeah.
And then also going back to Elin Ice, and then did you know Pat Noboa Stanton? I think they lived on New Bridgeport. They lived up there. So Pat owned, you may know her kids, maybe a little younger, but she owned Reston Copy Center.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I worked when I first,
Over at the International
yeah,
Center?
I worked
Uh-huh.
there my senior year in college and then when I got out of college.
Okay.
But I remember watching Elin and Pat and kind of aspiring to who they were. They're women in business and they were involved and they were, I
Yeah.
think, the first females in Rotary.
Huh.
Which was kind of cool going back to Rotary.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
great.
So yeah,
It
you-
wasn't until the 80s, late 80s, they were allowed women in Rotary.
isn't that crazy?
It is.
So you got involved in lots of things. So we did start a nonprofit together.
Yeah.
Called Kids of Reston, as we grew
Yeah,
up in
that's right.
Reston. It is kind of, we moved it back into Cornerstones, which is another nonprofit in Reston to give back. We need to bring it back going on.
Yep.
We were both Best of Reston recipients or honorees.
But you beat me.
I did. I'm a little older, so I got 1 year ahead of you for that. We just figured out. I was in 2018, you were 2019. And then last year I was given the Starfish Award for another nonprofit and you were this year.
Yeah.
So
Beat me again.
I did, but I don't have any other
Good
things
job.
on the horizon at the
job.
moment. But yeah, so let's talk about the Cardboard Boat Regatta. So
Sure.
this is a really fun thing. And if anybody knows me and knows me well, my youngest sister, Amanda, this is her favorite thing in the whole wide world. And it is so much joy. And what I love about it is it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's not, although it's a fundraiser, it's not who's gonna win, it's fun competition.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun day. And so tell us how that started, how you got involved and how are you running it?
Well, like I said, I'm on the board of the Reston Museum and back then we needed a fundraiser because we had an executive director we needed to pay for. We have all these speaker opportunities we have to pay for. And, there's a lot of expense to run a museum. And I think it's important to preserve the history of Reston. So I told them that I would come up with a fundraiser. They do the home tour and that does
Right.
pretty well for them. The Reston home tour every year, they've been doing that for a long time. But we needed another big event.
Which I've never been to. And the reason being it's PTSD. So our house was on it when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And my mother wouldn't let us touch anything it was around Christmas and like decorated the tree and we couldn't touch anything. So I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Too much
Oh,
drama.
the stress to have your house on that, I can't imagine.
No. So, all right.
And then you have to clean your house. I mean,
I know.
So I was over at the Lake End Brew House, where all good ideas come from a brew house.
Of course.
And I was sitting with Melissa Romano, the owner there, and I told her I needed to come up with a fundraiser for the museum, but I wanted something that involved families and small businesses and big business and, the whole ideal of Reston. I wanted it here at the lake.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to use the lake. And so I was trying to figure out what kind of boat race or something we could do there. And Melissa had the idea of a cardboard boat regatta. She had seen it up in Ohio and I think is what she said. And she said, that would be really great. Immediately I looked out on the plaza and the channel there where the
Mhm.
long dock is. I said, that is a perfect spot.
Yeah.
You have all this area for spectators and you can just race them up and down the spot. I could envision it.
Right.
And so, an event like this is only as good as its volunteers. And the board at the museum and the committee that I put together for the regatta, they're 100% in. They do so much for the community already.
Right.
And I can rely on all of them. And that's what makes this really
Yeah.
work.
And it's so
It's
many
not a
people.
one person thing.
No.
This is
And I got voluntold the other day, I think. I'm gonna
Voluntold.
voluntold by Meg Donnelly that I'm gonna be selling something or doing something.
Oh, you're gonna be part of the
I guess.
what is it?
Fundraiser.
The
to-
bucket brigade.
Yeah, something
Yep,
like
she's
that.
in charge of the bucket
Yeah,
brigade.
I got voluntold.
That's basically just going around asking for money. But
Exactly.
you gotta wear a piece of cardboard somewhere,
Oh,
like a hat or.
yeah, I think has hats. I said I'd do it. but because, we just say yes.
Yeah.
So
great.
explain exactly what it is, because I'll tell people this, and then I said, like, there's real people in the boats. They're like, what? And
Yeah.
it's made out of card. So what are the requirements?
Cardboard and duct tape
And that's
is
it.
are really the main ingredients.
Okay.
Now they can use, they can't use anything with epoxies or resin, like caulking or anything like
Okay.
that. So it's basically cardboard and duct tape. They can use water soluble paint.
Okay.
They can use like a Thompson's water seal, something like that. That'll help keep the water off for a little bit anyways.
Right.
Basically, you gotta use a lot of layer of cardboard.
Yeah.
And I've built them, I've sailed them. So I know what it's like.
Okay.
It's not easy
No.
and it takes a long time to build a good boat.
Yeah.
And so some of the boats that come out are really something.
Amazing.
So we do them in timed heats. We have 2 boats go out at a time
Okay.
and they're life-size boats. I've had boats have as many as 10 people.
That's what I was say. What's the most
And
people?
I think 12 is the largest.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
they did great. They had like a pontoon catamaran style.
Mhm.
And so they had, 6 people on each side.
So you
and
really, it's helpful if you have an engineer on your team.
It is very helpful.
Your building team.
Yeah, we've got an architecture team. They're a sponsor, FGM Architects, and they're gung ho about it. Nova Labs
Yeah, they've
is
done
local.
amazing
They
things.
help us. They do a boat repair shop on the plaza. So if anybody
Okay.
needs extra duct tape or extra cardboard,
all the
shore up their
things.
boat, all those things. But the boats they build, they use 3D CAD system,
Wow.
laser cutting. I mean, they've probably been working on it for 6 months.
Yeah, and I've watched other people build boats on the fly.
Yeah,
And it's
the
like
Lake
the
Ann Wine Bar
last,
is one of those places.
yeah, like at the last minute. And so everybody does not make it
Right,
to the end.
but that's
and
the best part.
That is. And I live on the 9th floor, so I watch it often from up there and
Yeah.
I can watch and get
I've
pictures.
seen your pictures. You
Yeah.
sent me pictures.
So
Of it. It's really,
cool
it is
pictures.
pretty cool.
So there's a Titanic
Yeah,
award for the one,
for the most spectacular sinking.
right?
And there have been some really good ones. And that's really, I mean, the crowd just loves that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a few thousand people on the plaza watching this and, sinking is the best part.
Yeah, and that's what's so fun is it's not
Yeah.
like I gotta win. It's I'm gonna sink and who cares?
Yeah,
And I think the Lake Ann Coffee House, that's their goal,
yeah,
is to sink. And then people sink and they try to paddle with their dead boats.
right.
So you did put a cap on how long
Yeah,
people can.
yeah, we're gonna be pulling people out
Yeah.
a little
And
earlier.
They have lifeguards on paddle boards.
Yeah.
To help coach and get people through.
We'll have 4, maybe even 5 lifeguards out there at a time. Yeah,
Yeah, and then, of course, we have lots of things going on in the plaza. I know last year and this year we have, confirmed that Crush Funk Brass Band out of DC
Yep,
is gonna be
they're
our
the
entertainment.
best.
They're so much
I'm
fun.
really excited about that.
Yeah, and they're kind of a cool story. Do you know their story during COVID?
Uh-uh.
So first of all, they're a bunch of men that live in DC
Mhm.
and they played on the street corners. And so somebody told me one time they saw them play in front of a Nationals game.
Yeah,
And so during COVID, they wanted to be able to give the community. So they just started going out into neighborhoods and randomly playing places. And that's kind
I
of,
know the reason I like them.
yeah. And they've grown and become very successful, which is awesome to see. Now, the
Yeah.
price is a little hefty, but, but they're worth it.
Yeah, they do it. It's a great way to start off the race. So they're coming they're gonna start playing, I think 10:30 more in the morning that
Yes.
day on
So we're
August
gonna-
10th.
And then we have an amazing MC, which we referenced earlier, Andy
Yep,
Siegel.
Andy Siegel, and it's actually the Andy show. So we got Andy Gable from the Wine
Okay.
Bar and Andy Siegel from the Brew House.
Okay, Andy Siegel opens
they
it with
will,
the national anthem.
Yep.
Which is really kind of cool, and just the energy and the excitement, and
Yeah.
it's always a beautiful day, and it will be again this year.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
And then you still do the squirt gun things that you can. buy?
Yeah, we got the water cannon station and.
So you can buy one of those?
Yeah, we've got a Realty One. Is the sponsor of the water cannon station and yeah, so they can buy a water cannon. I think they're $5.
Yeah, and then you can.
And then
squirt-
they get a certain amount of time. They can be on the RA dock that we move up the dock. There,
Right.
and they go out there and they can squirt the boaters as they come by. And that's,
Awesome.
the pictures of that are really priceless.
fun. And it's just such a fun community event.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna go back to Amanda because that's a
Yeah.
cool story. So my younger sister Amanda, if you don't know, she's just turned 42, but she's got Down syndrome. And this is just the power of this community too, that she works at the chocolate shop and their model is to hire people with disabilities. Did you know that?
Mhm.
That her
Yep.
the owner's sister was in Martha's Vineyard at a chocolate shop. And that's kind of where the structure came from. So Amanda's been working there. And then Doris said to me one day, she said, we sponsored a boat, but I don't want to build it. do you know somebody, another nonprofit that deals with people with disabilities? So I'm on the board of Gabriel Homes, so I reached out to them,
Mhm,
and it was, I mean, we were probably talking 2 to 3 weeks.
mhm,
And so they weren't interested, but then the next day I was having lunch with Debbie Alexander, who is the executive director of Spark.
mhm.
And we were having lunch and I'm like, wait a minute, would you guys be interested? And she's like, maybe, tell me more. So literally as we're having lunch, she's Googling and watching YouTubes. A friend of mine walked by that had built a boat. So
Mhm.
he's coaching her. And then she went back and she's like, I don't think we can do it that fast. But she threw it out to her board and different people, and they're like, we can do this. And so that was their first year they were in. This is going to be the third. But Amanda they had Amanda in the boat.
Yeah.
Amanda had never paddled a boat. So like that morning, a friend of mine's son took Amanda out in the canoe to see if she could do it.
Yeah.
And the boat was pretty big. And so my brother came, he's like, well, do you want me to go? I can help. And she's like, no. And she could be a little skittish at things, but she
Yeah.
was so confident, like, I am going out in that boat.
She was so excited.
Her face and the excitement, and that is a highlight of a year.
Mhm.
So last year, they did break the rules for her and let her go.
Yeah.
They were paddling opposites.
Mhm. But
And so they're going in circles.
I think it was the year before though that the picture of her
Yes,
coming
coming
in,
in.
she's at the front of the
Yep.
boat.
And
And
just so
and
happy.
she's got this smile on her face, and that picture, when I see that, makes all the work put into this worthwhile.
Yeah.
And,
So last year, because they were going around and you guys let her go, I think
Yeah.
she was in the boat for 10 minutes paddling.
yeah,
Well, until just recently, her shoulder has been hurt. So my mom's like, she's not going to the boat and and she's like, I'm going in. I'm paddling. So we'll see what happens this year. Who's going to win this battle?
Maybe she'll just be a writer.
Yes, exactly. So it's officially August 10th.
August 10th,
Yeah.
race starts at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And I would recommend bicycling here, hiking here. Parking is tough.
Yeah. And
A
if
lot
you
of
know
people.
me and you're watching the podcast, then call me, let me know you're coming and we'll get you on the up on the castle to watch. But so we moved through this and we kind of did a different structure. And I never asked you, what does courage mean to you?
Hmm.
We've bypassed that.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. Be ready to extend the boundaries.
Okay.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be running a fundraiser that has thousands of people coming to
Right.
it. I never thought I'd run a golf tournament. I never thought I was able to do those things until I did them.
Right.
And it's a really, really good feeling.
It is. You pick up those skills
Mhm.
along the way.
And you're helping people.
Yeah, I did.
You know?
I got voluntold, I think, or jumped into Reston Festival
Mhm.
in 98, 99 when I came back. That's
Mhm.
when I first met Lila Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of
Good person to
started,
meet.
yeah, so that kind of started my path
Yeah.
of volunteering. You just
Sure.
say yes and you just do it.
And you just do it. You
And
do
you
the best,
figure it
you do
out.
the best you can,
Exactly.
and learn how to just work with all types of people.
Yeah.
You know?
So I also always say, what's the connection with my dad? And of course, you knew my dad,
Mhm.
and followed in his footsteps with lots of different things. But you said you spent more time with my mother. And this will tell you how close our family is to you guys. Is my mom just hit a couple years ago, turned 80, and they designed a special
Mhm.
necklace. And you came home from vacation early for her birthday party.
Mhm.
That just tells you the connections you build in this community. And if you're watching this and you're not in the Reston community, build it in your own community.
Mhm.
You can put it together. It's just takes one person getting started.
Yep.
So that just leads to, how would you encourage somebody else to volunteer, get voluntold, to get involved, start a business, to be courageous?
Yeah, you have to make that first step and meet people. I meet more people going out to the brew house or going, to one of the local festivals or things, something like
Right.
that. Meet people and talk to them and find out what they're doing in the community, and then put yourself forward.
Yeah.
Join a Rotary Club, join the Lions Club.
Get involved.
Get involved and just learn. You don't have to go in and be the president right away. You don't have to, you don't have to create a fundraiser right away or anything like that.
No,
Just get involved, be a volunteer.
And you started Rotary because you had a business,
Mhm.
and it helped your business, but like me and volunteering in so many things,
Mhm.
you've gotten so much out of it, I assume.
Absolutely. And they always tell you in Rotary, do not join Rotary. Rotary's not supposed to help, isn't about business.
Right.
It's not political. And it's not religious. It is just a very large number of people that just want to do good things in the world.
That's awesome.
And that's what led me to ask Andy and Kim Siegel if they wanted to start a foundation. with us.
Yeah, you've got a new
Yeah.
nonprofit. So what's that?
Segue.
Segue.
Uh,
Yeah, we'll go to that one.
And,
Yeah, we got a lot,
yeah, in 2005, something I was doing at the Rotary Club, I was co-chair of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library in Herndon.
Okay.
And that is Dolly Parton started this down in Tennessee in her hometown to promote literacy within families. And what it does is that the Dollywood Foundation mails a book every month to a child from when they're born till they turn age 5.
Wow.
Every single month, brand new book, and it's
That's
mailed. It's
amazing.
got the child's name on it, a little note from Dolly. It's really kind
Wow.
of cool. So
No
we
idea.
started it in Herndon, and we were the first ones to do it in Virginia, and it's still going strong in Herndon. We have 1,600 kids a month getting a free book.
Wow.
And so my goal was to always start it in Reston at some point, but it takes a lot of funds,
Right.
and you have to have a nonprofit to do it. So Andy Siegel and Kim Siegel and Diane, my wife, the 4 of us created the Rose Siegel Foundation. And so we sponsor the Imagination Library in Reston.
That's
Now,
really cool.
and now we just surpassed 900 kids
Wow.
getting a free book every month. And talk about what a great community this is. We had a fundraiser, and all we did is we invited all these people we knew and asked them for money. So this
Right.
is our goal. We want to get books in the hands of children. And we want to do it from preschool and go all the way through high school. And everybody just started writing us checks.
Gotta love
I
it.
mean, the support was tremendous. And so we've been able to, we were just in Forest Edge Elementary and Dogwood Elementary at the summer school programs there. We gave away a total of about 700 books. And just did a little free book fair for the kids. They got to come in and pick a book.
That's
The
awesome.
best part was they were fighting over how many books they could get.
Gotta
And,
love
you know,
that.
and so if they're going to be, if kids are going to fight, they might as well fight over
Whatever
books.
That's awesome. I love that you guys are doing that. And
So
I think we
it's
talked
great.
about it, the fish fling. You're like, oh, I was bored. I needed something else. Yeah, I looked at a nonprofit out on my dad, but I went with a podcast instead.
I like it.
But I'm
I
connecting
like
with
it.
all
This
the
is the way,
nonprofits.
to get the word out.
Exactly. So I'm going to include all your contact information in the show notes. What's the best place for people to find you? Obviously, go buy jewelry.
Probably Aspen Jewelry Designs, because that's where I am
Okay.
5 days a week. Or here at the museum, here on the plaza. Best way to contact us through my email,
Or just meet him at the brew house.
or just meet me at the brew house.
So,
I'll
yeah.
buy you a beer.
Okay, I heard that.
Uh-oh. How many people are listening?
I don't know. So yeah, get involved. Check out the Cardboard Boat Regatta. Start one in your community if you want information, if
Mhm.
you're listening to this somewhere else. And just, it's fun to be a part of this community and all the cool
Mhm.
stuff going on.
It is good people.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for being my guest. And thank you everybody for joining us on this inspiring journey. Remember, every day is an opportunity to take action, chase your dreams, and make a difference. So why not today? Make sure you subscribe, share, and keep pushing forward. And you can find everything you want about the podcast on whynottodaypodcast.com. We're on all the streaming channels and YouTube and all the social media. So thanks again for watching. And remember, always say, why not today?
Why not today?